Window Nation, the stop.
Oh, it's that time of the week, everybody. Gather round for another episode of Cowboys Overtime, sponsored by Window Nation here on StarTelegram.com. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Matt Engel. He is Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr., knower of all things Dallas Cowboys, defender of all things University of Texas Longhorns. Clarence, you were in the Mistake in the Desert on Sunday. Give us the scene in the locker room after the Cowboys put up one of the all-time cow flops that we've seen ever with this franchise by losing to a bad Arizona Cardinals football team.
You know, this has happened before under the Mike McCarthy's watch. You remember that Denver loss a couple of years ago that seemed to be out of the blue. This is, they've had some head scratches. You go back to that Washington loss last year. At the end of the season, they've had some no shows, some head scratchers, and my thing with this loss was that I think the Cowboys got too big for the britches, and it's something that I've talked about, wrote about in the column. After 2 weeks, this defense, this team was comparing themselves to the Ravens, some of the greatest defenses ever, and this is the basis of a championship defense, and this is what you do. And then you go let a one-dimensional Cardinals team ram it down your throats. They don't want to run past the ball. All they want to do is run, and you let them ram it down your throats. I mean, great defense is travel. You can say what you want about the quarterbacks early in the season, getting in a rhythm. You watched the Eagles last night; they're not playing well offensively. They can run the ball, and they play great defense, and they stop team.
Clarence, you said the Cardinals were one-dimensional. I think you're giving him too much credit. Like, what dimension offensively do you think, legitimately? Like, they don't have Kyler Murray. Kyler's still recovering from a torn ACL. He'll be back at some point this season. They're playing Josh Dobbs, a guy, journeyman quarterback who's on his third NFL team. By all accounts, is crazy NASA-level smart, and I'm not kidding about that. But he's a backup quarterback. And with Josh Dobbs and that running game, what they did to the Dallas defense was not embarrassing. It was emasculating. They ran for more than 220 yards and averaged 8 yards a carry against Doomsday 2 defense. How the hell does that happen? Like, I get a guy breaking one off for 50. I get a guy breaking a couple off, for 15 chunk yards. 8 yards a carry in an NFL game? That's a college game. I don't get how, and I know they were missing Trayvon Diggs. The last time I checked, Clarence, Trayvon Diggs is not a linebacker. He's not a down lineman. How does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were too big for the britches. They say they were focused, but I think they took the Cardinals for granted. And that includes Micah Parsons. I mean, he didn't have his best game. He was the one who gave up that first big run to the quarterback to open the game. It really set the tone to the game. But they talk a lot. They talk, about how great they are, and you got to do it for more than 2 games, and you got to do it for more than 1 season, and you got to put it all together with what the great defenses have. And again, there's no excuse. It's one thing when the Rams, when the Rams, the 49ers are out scheming you, and they got all this motion and stuff, and so they confuse you. This was not that. Okay, this was not that. There was no. You really didn't have to defend the pass. They defended the pass only after they were on their heels against the run, and they leave guys wide open. I mean, it's only way gonna throw the ball, guys wide open, and they leave guys wide open because they're on the heels about to run. But there's no excuse. Then you got the offsides, you got the penalties. It just made no sense. And ironically, Arizona's been a house of horrors for the Cowboys, which is mind blocking as a kid who grew up watching the Cowboys from the 70s and watching the Cowboys dominate the Cardinals for 70s and 80s and 90s. And the Cardinals have won 7 of the last 8 in the series.
Is it 7 of the last 8 in Arizona or 7 of the last 8 overall?
Overall in the series, period.
That's embarrassing.
Last time they were in Arizona was when Jerry did the fake kneel down.
And that was the game they won.
Yes. Maybe Jerry should have kneeled again.
I was going to say, tell me, and I understand every team, every player has that one nemesis, that one team that they are superior to, that always gives them a hard time. Everybody's got them. Every basketball player's got them. Every pitcher has them. Every batter has them. One guy, you're like, how does this guy get me? I'm better than him. Arizona has got their number, and I can't figure out why.
But it's stupid because it's not like it's been the same quarterback. It's not like it's the same players.
Nope.
It's just a house of horrors for the Cowboys. For whatever reason, it's always something stupid happens with the Cardinals lately.
Well, and obviously the defense deserves to be killed. Dan Quinn said it yesterday in the press conference. I think he said he thought 3 players played a decent game. Deron Bland, Tank Lawrence, and who's the third one I'm missing?
Malik Hooker.
And, Malik, I felt bad. Malik was having fun with you on Twitter because he misinterpreted a tweet that you said when really it was a touchdown pass the Cowboys gave up and it wasn't his fault. Which is, right. He was actually decent in that game.
Right. He helped save the touchdown. It was the 69-yard play where somebody didn't get it, man, and Malik went and saved the touchdown. Of course, they got the touchdown anyway, but Malik did hustle and save the touchdown after somebody else blew their assignment. But yeah, he was one of the people that Dan Quinn said played well. The other guys, didn't have their best day at the office. And the linebackers, I'm gonna tell you, the linebackers have, I know they don't value out the ball linebackers anymore. It's kind of like running back, but the Cowboys linebackers were bad.
They were terrible.
Yeah, Clark and Van Der Esch were terrible. Yep. They're just guys right now.
So, obviously the popular thing to do here is kill the defense, give up 220 yards on the ground to the Arizona Cardinals. I can't even name their running backs. It's James Conner, who looks like the second coming of Otis Anderson, speaking of Cardinal references. But the offense was pretty god-awful terrible, too. I do not know what's the problem with this offense in the red zone. Like, they get inside the 20, and they turn into a different offense. Now, the personnel has changed. You don't have Zeke Elliott back there, and even if Zeke wasn't the same Zeke last season, he was a hammer inside the 10 and specifically inside the 5. Well, in week 1, the Cowboys were 3 of 4 in the red zone, touchdowns. That's pretty good. Week 2, 2 of 6. Week 5, 1 of 5. Clarence, they ran the ball well. Tony Pollard had a great game. There was a clear pass interference against CeeDee Lamb in the end zone that was not called. That should have been put the ball at the 1-yard line. But when you look at this offense and you see what's missing inside the 20 that's preventing this team from scoring touchdowns and just relying on now apparently the greatest kicker in the history of the game, Brandon Aubrey, what's missing?
Well, 2 things. I think the last 2 weeks are different weeks because you played this game without 3 of your starting offensive linemen, including 2 potential future Hall of Famers. And you had guys that started the game who didn't find out they were starting until Saturday. And the Cowboys had to really change their game plan until Saturday. I think that's a failure on Mike McCarthy's part because Tyler Biadasz and Zach Martin in practice all week. The fact that you didn't get
so
those
he
guys
knew that
ready,
was coming.
Well, he should have known that was coming.
Yeah.
And you didn't get those guys ready to play and say they weren't ready to start. And I'm giving credit for doing what they had to do, but they didn't have the correct preparation to start. Then that's on you guys. And Tyler Smith is going to be an issue. Tyler Smith is going to be an issue all year. He's already. He came up on the injury report on Saturday, the day before the game, with a knee injury.
Why was he dressed?
Because they were dressed, and they had to dress a certain amount of number of offensive linemen, but he wasn't going to play. But so that's part of it. Again, part of it I think is you do miss a hammer like Zeke down low. It's one thing to run between the 20s. It always gets tougher close to the goal line in the passing and the running game because that's why they call them bend but don't break defenses. A lot of times things it's there's less room to work with. You can do a lot of different things, and so I think that they don't have a hammer, but they also don't have a mismatch outside. They miss Amari Cooper. They don't have a guy like that. You look at the red zone touchdown for the Cowboys since 2021. Amari Cooper still leads all Cowboys. You know, love CeeDee Lamb, route runner. He's not a big time red zone target. That's not his game. And you don't have a tight end that's special. All the tight ends are jacked. They're just guys. You know, they got guys. They're good blockers, but they're not mismatches. And so everything has to be perfect. Dak has to, you throw it to a 5'8" receiver, Brandon Cooks. If you don't throw the ball on your back foot and get it out at the right time, things going to happen, And so they everything from the scheming has to be perfect. You look at some of the plays, some of the pass routes down there, people were covered. There was nothing, nowhere to go with the ball. And again, when there's nowhere to go with the ball, you do like you do with Mike Williams, you do with the Jez Brown. You throw it up and let him make a play. You don't have that guy.
Well, and you mentioned that on Twitter during the game, I think, which was, Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant is a must follow on Twitter because he has no filter and he'll say everything. But you said it to him during the game, tweeted at him during the game. They don't have you to go high point of football. And I'm looking around at those guys, whether it's Jalen Tolbert, obviously Brandon Cooks isn't tall enough. Clarence, CeeDee Lamb isn't a small guy.
No, it's just not preventing. It's never been his game, though. He's a route runner.
No, I know, but I mean, at some point, like that last route, that PI route, or that route where he should have drawn pass interference, that was, I mean, the play was there, and then the official just didn't call it. And this game was not lost because of officiating at all. But this is more about, have you seen a guy? Can you remember seeing a guy where like, okay, it might not be your game, but given your athleticism and your skill set, we might be able to get this out of you.
Well, I mean,
you don't think they can do that with CeeDee Lamb? That they can ask him to go high point footballs?
No, not to that level because it's not his game. I mean, he's athletic, but he's not like Mike Williams is 6'5". He always has 10 touchdowns every year because he's just a mismatch down there. Dead's the same way. CeeDee Lamb is athletic. Everybody in the NFL is athletic. That's still not their game.
It's one part of this game that I know it was not. I mean, during the game, it was certainly getting criticized, but it's mystifying to me. The Cowboys were penalized 16 times for over 100 yards. Of those 16 penalties, 13 were accepted. That is a catastrophic number. You're giving up basically a score. That's how it usually works out. 100 yards is going to be a score, and they gave up a score, a touchdown. And that's the third time under Mike McCarthy that this team has been penalized 15 times in a game. That's the most in the NFL since 2020. Mike isn't a bad coach. He's not a dumb guy. We've seen other good coaches that have struggled with this. What is it about this team that goes through these runs of penalties and they can't get out of their own way?
Yeah, and it's funny because the first two games they had like a combined 5 for 73.
Yeah.
And so they figured, okay, we finally got this stuff out of hand. Now, let's be honest. Some of that's on the officials. I mean, there are two of the offsides penalties. There was no way they were offside.
No, you went offsides.
I mean, you could say that some of the offsides.
Are you talking about the one on the field goal attempt?
Yes.
He went offsides.
Not offsides at all. And again, the push off on CeeDee Lamb, that was not offensive pass interference. But
no,
overall, they have to cut down on the flag. There's no question about that. That's a problem. It's setting them back. Too many pre-snap penalties, the emotions on offense, delay a game on offense, different things on offense. You can't have that. The holding on a punt return, which would have made a huge difference in the game. You could. All right,
we got more to talk about here on Cowboys Overtime. But first, a word from our friends at Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on StarTelegram.com. I'm Mac Engel. He's Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence, we got a bit of a homecoming on Sunday. The Cowboys host Coach Fun, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots, and a much different-looking Zeke Elliott the former Dallas Cowboys running back who was cut in the offseason, signed late with the Patriots. So far this season, 28 carries, 122 yards. We touched this a little bit earlier. You think Cowboys miss him?
No doubt. I think they missed. He had 12 rushing touchdowns last year. And people can get caught up. Well, the yards per carry average, he has a nose for the end zone. And so they miss that hammer. I talk about having a hammer down close. They miss a guy like that, and so I think that, and beyond that, he's coming off his best game, 16 carries, 80 yards against the Jets, and after what the Cardinals did to the Cowboys, that they're going to run Zeke and they're going to run at this Cowboys defense. Now it's a different thing because they don't really have a mobile quarterback to do some of the things that the Cardinals did, but the Cowboys are going to have to show they can stop the run. They got to show it against Zeke. It's funny. I was talking to Mike McCarthy. He was talking about Zeke on Monday, and he said his first impression with Zeke was when he was a rookie in 2016, and McCarthy was still with the Packers, and Zeke came running down the sideline and he said his first impression was, "Oh my God, that guy has a big head." That was his first impression.
I saw that.
I'm saying. Then he said he's big and he's thick. I said, Mike, I talked to him after. I said, Mike, you're gonna go viral, right? What do you mean it that way? You're gonna go viral, right? Okay.
I immediately it's funny when I saw the quote, I had the same reaction. I'm like, I know he doesn't mean it that way, but people are going to have fun with it that way.
Of course, we got to. This is what we do on the internet. But yeah, they're going to have to stop Zeke, and they're going to have to stop the running game. But yeah, I think they missed him. Certainly, Tony Pollard has played well. He had over 100 yards last week. You look at his numbers. They're running him too much now. He had I think he played 81 snaps. He played a lot of snaps the past 2 weeks. And Mike McCarthy talked about, again, that we're going to have to monitor him in practice and cut that down. They need to give Rico more run because Pollard played a lot of snaps.
It says a lot about how well he's developed and how well he's playing. But in limited time, Rico Dowdell is pretty good.
Yeah, no, he had a good game. He had the same amount of yards per carry that Pollard had.
So if you had to, as we sit here and bemoan the fact that the Cowboys can't score inside the 20, and you talked about they've got to have precision. They have to have, if they're going to do it, they're going to have the ball at the 12-yard line. They're going to have to be really precise. I understand late in the game they were pressing for it. The Dallas Cowboys had a small window to get back in that game, and they were going to need a touchdown, get a stop, which I think they were going to get a stop, and they were going to have to score again. They were moving the ball. They had over 400 yards on Sunday, but then Dak Prescott makes a decision that he can't make, where he forces a ball into Brandon Cooks into the end zone, and it's intercepted by a linebacker. The video of it is not great. And the decision that he made to force that ball wasn't good because CeeDee Lamb had single coverage on the outside, but Dak went for a pass that the play was there. The play was there.
He threw it late. He should have thrown off his back foot. That's the problem. And everybody says, I like everybody saying, well, he should have thrown to CeeDee Lamb. Well, he was one-on-one, but we don't know.
No, and that's fair.
They could have made.
That's totally fair. But the bottom line is
the real problem here is that they ran the ball too much. And Mike McCarthy talked about it yesterday. The first and second down, they ran the ball. He only gets one opportunity to throw the ball down there after they don't get the pass interference. And I think the pass interference was huge right there because it would have been first and goal to one. Because it was a first and goal to one, but they ran the ball too much down there. Instead of throwing the ball, you're running against the clock. If for the life of me, I don't know why they were running it so much late in the game down inside, in the red area. And so he has to go one-on-one. You don't get enough cracks at the end zone.
No, and the thing that I didn't agree with some of the criticism, one, there were 3 Cardinals to 1 Cowboy in the area, but 2, the play was there. It wasn't like, and I understand when you come off the line, we expect quarterbacks to have 15 eyeballs and they see everything, and they don't. They're human beings. The play was there. The throw was going to have to be spectacular.
Yeah, that's my problem again when I talk about the size. If you have a bigger receiver there, you can throw the ball up high. He can go get it. But when you throw it to a 5'8" guy, it has to be a perfect throw. You have to make sure it gets over the linebacker, not too high, not too back in the end zone, and throw it on time. It's like it's a tough play to throw to a guy that's 5'8".
All right, we have talked about the Cowboys a lot. However, now we are going to shift gears. We're going to change to the game that everybody's talking about. Talking about Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon in Austin, Texas, the continuation of one of the Big 12's great rivalries, the Kansas Jayhawks against the Texas Longhorns. And this has been a bitter rivalry for a long, long time, and everybody's bemoaning Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC and the end of all these great rivalries. Kansas and Texas is not getting enough press. I mean, the fact that we're not going to be able to watch these two giant behemoth, Godzilla versus Mothra, go at it is sad. But this is going to be it, and it's only appropriate that the Jayhawks come in ranked number 24th in the nation, 4-0, 4-0. Okay, not really a surprise, going against Clarence E. Hill Jr.'s number 3 Texas Longhorns, also at 4-0. Texas is a 17-point favorite. Clarence, before we get into picking the Cowboys game, we have, and I'm obviously I'm teasing, Kansas has given Texas fits the last 5 or 6 years. Kansas is actually pretty decent. That might actually be a top 7 finisher in the Big 12, which has like 70 teams this year. Is there any reason why Kansas wins this game?
No, but I think they cover the spread. I think Kansas quarterback is really good.
He is good.
He's really good, and he'll be the first competent quarterback Texas faces. And so I'm one of those Texas fans with PTSD. Like, okay, I believe, I want to believe, but you're going to break my heart at some point, right? And it'd be fitting you beat Alabama and lose to Kansas and Austin, but really, let's be honest. I mean, they haven't played a competent quarterback all year.
No, the Alabama kids haven't really figured it out.
No, the Baylor's on their backup quarterback, and Rice.
What about the kid from Rice? He's played for like 7 teams.
Again, yes, but he played with Rice. Who's ever around him? Kansas has a good tight end, good running backs. It's going to be a challenge. Texas defense playing well. Texas defense has actually been the best part of their team, more so than their offense.
And that's the part. Like,
Texas
legitimately, Kansas is decent. And
they're more than decent. They're a good team.
They're pretty good.
I watched several teams, and the quarterback is special.
He's good. No, he's really good. And the one thing that they have, unlike previous seasons, is that they've got some talent on their defensive front seven. Now, the last couple of years, even when their offense was okay, specifically last season, you could just run up and down them.
Yeah, no, Sark talked about the defensive line and the defensive talent. They got a lot of transfers, a lot of portal guys from Miami and big schools like that who are filling out the defensive line. They have a pretty good defensive line for sure.
You're talking about UT, though, and clearly they're the class of the Big 12. I mean, I don't think there's anybody else. Before the season, you're going to kill me all year for it. I deserved it. I really like Tech. And they've been the biggest.
Just because you hated UT, there was nothing that.
No.
There was nothing about Tech that said they were going to win the Big 12, other than hope.
Here's why.
Projecting.
Hang on. They had returning seniors, a lot of returning players. They had 17 guys coming back from a team that won 7 or 8 games, and usually that works out. That has worked out in the past few seasons. And Clarence,
I'm not saying UT, but I'm just saying we were projecting Tech, but there was no all conference players.
No, there hasn't been.
That guy,
quarterback's been average. It's been a really disappointing. I tell you, the only team any more disappointing than Texas Tech is Baylor. I don't know what's going on down there. I mean, whatever mojo and momentum that Dave Aranda had going on is gone.
No, it's gone. It's gone. They're done.
And the thing about the doubt about Texas is totally earned. It's not like they haven't had talent the past few years.
I understand the doubt about Texas, but at least Texas had guys back there were all conference guys and had a quarterback. I mean, they had players that were coming. Tech had nothing but clickbait. They were clicks. It was all about the clicks. It was all about the clicks. They were like Colorado. It was about the Colorado. They had no substance.
Do you have another minute? I do want to ask you a question about it. Do you have a second? Okay. So obviously the big showdown. Well, first of all, let me go back to this. You said Texas is a class of the Big 12. They look clearly like a top 5, potentially a playoff team. You said, oh, man, they're always going to break your heart. It's not going to be Kansas. It's just not. Who on that schedule do you see? That one might be a heartbreaker.
No. It's to me, it's Kansas, Oklahoma. They've been,
really.
Yeah, okay. Kansas, Oklahoma. Not. I mean, and I guess once you get by TCU, and I watched TCU in Colorado, and I have, again, I don't know, but again, just like for the Cowboys and the Cardinals, TCU has been a house of horrors for the Longhorns, but I think as a uppity Longhorn, I think it's a good course correction in the final year of the Big 12
Okay.
that Texas and Oklahoma dominate. It's good.
Okay.
It's a good course correction.
I want to ask you this. This is a serious question. We can have this because I think you can shed some light on this subject that is clearly the talk of college football right now, and that is Deion Sanders in Colorado. They're killing it. They're 3-0. They go to Oregon and they get run out of the building. They did. I mean, these talent-wise, they're not anywhere near Oregon. They're probably not anywhere near USC, which is what they're going to play this week. And the one thing that I'm seeing consistently on social media, and I understand social media is kind of a dangerous barometer, but you said it last week and a week before, is that Colorado has sort of inherited this sort of very rare role, which is this is a team that a lot of black fans and black Americans really can get behind. And what I've wondered is, like, there's all this support for Deion Sanders for the right reasons. They're 3-0. They were 3-0. He's just a total, lightning rod. I totally get that part. The part that I don't understand, that I want you to shed some light on, and I mean this sincerely, is we've seen other programs be coached by black head coaches. Now, it's not as much as they should. I mean, in terms of the statistics and like the minority candidate, the minority candidates being hired or considered for some of these Power 5 jobs is embarrassingly low. But we've seen guys get these jobs sometimes, and I have not seen a fraction of the amount of the support for those guys. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, Charlie Strong when he was at Texas, Charlie Strong when he was at Louisville. There's others, Carl Durrell when he was at UCLA. It doesn't even compare. Tell me why.
They're not Deion. I mean, this is elementary. I mean, Deion comes in.
Well, then I'm in elementary school. So if it's third grade, then tell me it's just some common white guy. Why is Deion getting?
Because it's Deion. Deion is from his pro career. Deion brings a lot of attention in itself. All the rapper. I mean, he has a lot of connections that come outside of the game. I mean, first of all, there was a lot of support. Has been a lot of support, in the black community for all those coaches. And when they got head coaching jobs, there was a lot of support for Charlie Strong and the potential he could made if he wanted Texas. There was a lot of support for the first coach at Notre Dame, and the potential he could have made when he came from Stanford. I mean, there's we all love what the coach did at Stanford. The previous coach did at Stanford. David Shaw. And so I think it's a misnomer to say that there wasn't support.
I think Clarence,
but they just don't.
No, I'm gonna.
Let me finish. You asked me.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me answer the question. But I think it's a misnomer to say there wasn't support. But you cannot. The viral sensation of today with social media, the way that Deion and his son have marketed that team with everything being video, it's just a different thing. It just hit different. You go back to Jackson State, they were doing the videos there, and there was a lot of people jumping on Jackson State bandwagon who would never, black fans who jumped on Jackson State. You had a lot of rappers going to Jackson State who had never been to HBCU games and done that sort of thing. Snoop Dogg was at Jackson State last year, and so they just carried that cachet. You had a bigger program. You had all the people that were questioning him, and I think as part of it is the people that questioned him. There were, in which when he talked about after the TCU game about people, everybody has used the transfer portal. Texas State has second most transfers. Everybody's done that, but it was like a black eye for the Colorado to do it. So there were a lot of things that go behind that, and people support when especially in the community when they see this push against him, then that only makes people want to support him even more because you're defying the establishment.
Okay, so I have three different thoughts on that. One, respectfully, and I know social media is different, but I have not seen a fraction the amount of support on social media for other black head coaches compared to Deion. It doesn't even compare.
Again, but I'm just telling you, there is support. People.
Well, that's okay. Well,
but you can't.
But not like this.
But you can't use social media because those coaches don't use the media to push their program. I mean, it's just
Okay,
not the
so
same.
if
I think
that's the case,
that certainly plays a role in that.
so if that's true, him using the transfer portal, I didn't care. Everybody's doing it. I mean, it's
Didn't
what it
care,
is.
but there are a lot of people that care to use it. I mean, even going back to the Nebraska coach, who in the spring talked about, well, we're gonna build our program a different way, and he was really pointing. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head because it's legitimate.
Was it Matt Rule said that, or
it
Pat
was Matt
Narduzzi?
Rule? It was Matt Rule that said that, and the Pittsburgh coach made a comment about it, and other coaches made it. So it's legitimate. Whether it's a big deal to you, it was a big deal to some people. It's a big deal to these coaches who did it the right way or did it traditional way.
That's all crap.
Okay, it is crap, but it's still.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
Can we, as a sports fan, sports fandom, make commentary about Deion without it being perceived as
you
racism?
can. Yeah, of course you can.
Because I'm watching it right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, can anybody say anything about this guy without being perceived as racism?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There's no question. There are a lot of black people criticizing, but you can't make it coded. Well,
what does that mean?
Coded when you say a lady tweeted something about Deion, saved us. Thanks Oregon for saving us. Okay, what's us? What does that mean? What do you?
What does it mean?
Yes, exactly. What does it mean?
No, I'm being literal. I'm like, I don't know what it means.
Come on, stop it. Anyway, what does that mean? What do you say saving us? Saving us from what? What are you being saved from? But there's a lot of coded stuff. I mean, just like after the first game, you got from Utah was a Utah broadcaster was calling Jackson State a JUCO, and he played daddy ball. I mean, like, it just there was a lot of disrespect, and it's ignorance. It's rooted in time. Well, I didn't know. Well, you didn't know because of white supremacy. You didn't know because you don't care about that stuff, and it doesn't come across your timeline or whatever else. So that's what we're talking about. So
I think you've got to get to a place.
So some of the stuff is coded. Some of the criticism is coded. And there's some of the criticism is legitimate. I mean, there's no question about that. And again, I have no problem with trash talking. And the Oregon coach did what he was supposed to do. But don't tell me Oregon, with their 55 million uniform combinations, light it up.
It's not about clicks. I love that.
It's not about clicks. Okay,
yes,
that's how you became, because you were not traditional power. I never heard of Oregon in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. Okay,
Phil Knight made Oregon.
You came from nowhere because you were cool with the kids because of their uniforms. It's the same thing. It's the same family.
Oh, I don't have any problem with it. My issue is this: if I want to be
about clicks, that's BS.
No, I totally, and that's just garbage talk, and it's one
person
saying one thing,
and then you do it in front of the cameras.
And I tell you, the thing
to go viral, you know what you're doing.
Well, and that's fine. That's harmless.
It is harmless, but what I'm saying is, what you're trying to say, we're not like them when you're doing the same thing.
No, it's the same thing.
It's hypocrisy.
Absolutely, and that's the part that when I looked at what Deion could do at Jackson State. Just hear me out.
I know, but you're wrong. But anyway. You've been saying you've been on this for years.
This is my concern because when he went to Jackson State, it was about doing something that people had talked about before, and he didn't stay there long enough to really see it through, which is his right. I really don't blame him. I don't. I wouldn't want. I was in Jackson. I went to Jackson State. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see why they would want to leave. I get it. And I'm talking about Deion and his staff. I get it. I still think it was a false narrative what he sold to do it, but it's just another coach.
You ever talk to a football coach?
No.
Yeah, they all sell gold and they go to the.
This was a different bar of gold than
No, it was
here's
not.
my concern. Candy's bored. She wants to. So this is my concern with Deion. He's doing great things. They're going to be fine, and it's going to be a godsend for the Big 12. It is. There's no. However long he stays, it's a coup for the Big 12 that they got this program that is just white hot. My concern is this. There are a lot of coaches out there who are black, a lot, who deserve a shot. And the idea is tons, right? You and I both know NFL, college, and they don't for whatever reason. Sometimes they think, well, gee whiz, he doesn't look like us, who deserve a shot, and they don't get it. This is great if hiring Deion and Deion being Deion, wearing sunglasses, a hat, a hoodie, chains, and all that other stuff, opens the door, because this stuff is harmless. And that's the part.
I know. And
if it opens doors, and I don't think it's going to, because people look at Deion. Jock Taylor, our friend from the Morning News, used to write from the Morning News, just has a book out about Deion. He said it best. He said, do people really view him as, oh, wow, wait a minute, we can find this guy at other spots? Or do they view him as a unicorn? And my concern is that most colleges are going to say, Deion's Deion, he's a unicorn.
Well, Deion is a unicorn, but I do think that we're blowing the stereotype on you have to be in the image of Nick Saban to hire a coach.
I agree.
Okay?
I think that's right.
I think, and so that's what opened doors for other guys. And I think that he has, and I think if he has success, and let me finish. The thing is it's success. Once you have success and sustained success, that's what opens doors. It's not the 1 or 2 years. It's a sustained success. When I talked about the John Thompson had sustained success. That opened doors for other black coaches.
Well,
and
we won't know that until
and you got to win big. And so ultimately, you have to win big. You have to have sustained success. But I do think that it does, show that you don't have to be the button up, old school conservative coach, looking coach, the Nick Saban coach to win and to relate to students and to get boosters behind you and different things like that. You can look outside the box and give guys a try. And I think that's what it does.
Candy, our producer, is saying, what if I promise you guys an episode where we can talk about just this topic? That's probably not a bad idea. All right, we've gone on forever. I blame Clarence. Clarence, the Cowboys are 7-point favorites at home on Sunday against the Patriots. You and I both blew it last week. I think we did. You are now 2-1 overall and 2-1 against the spread. Give me a pick. Cowboys straight up, Cowboys covering 7 points.
Cowboys cover the 7. They beat the Patriots. Patriots don't have a running quarterback. They got a mobile guy, and I think Michael Parsons is going to be upset, and they're going to get after this quarterback.
Why is his screen? Wait, stop. Say that again. You froze up on me.
I don't know because you froze up on me. Anyway, Michael Parsons, Michael Parsons, the Cowboys defense are going to get after the quarterback and cover the spread, at least 7 points.
Cowboys are. Oh, no, Candy, you're wrong. You're freezing. Bill Belichick's an overrated bum, and Tom Brady made him. Mac Jones can't play. Breaking news with that one. The Cowboys
I got one warning. Please, Michael, wear a cup. This guy's dirty. He will kind of cup check you. He's already done that a few times this past week.
I know that was disgusting, by the way. Who does that? That's awful. Okay, Cowboys Sunday 3:30 against the Patriots. Kansas versus Texas 2:30 on Saturday. TCU versus West Virginia on Saturday night. We have talked forever. This is Clarence's fault. Thank you, Candy, very much for all of your Cowboys coverage needs and everything else. Check us out on StarTelegram.com. We will see you next week